Bitcoin. Some will tell you it's the future of currency, while others claim it's merely a digital form of gold. US President Donald Trump has famously shifted his position from calling it, quote, based on thin air, to later proclaiming, we want all Bitcoin made in the USA. What should you believe? Let's find out in this week's Modern Problems YouTube channel video. You've probably heard of it and maybe even bought some, but you may not exactly know what it is and how it works. That's why I'm here to break it down so we can get to the digital roots of this cryptocurrency. At its core, Bitcoin is a digital currency that exists on the internet in a public database using what's known as the blockchain. This is one of its major appeals, as the blockchain is a digital ledger or database that once updated cannot be changed. Hence, it brings a high degree of security, making it useful in a currency or transaction context. It's also not backed by any government or central bank, existing only on the blockchain, and so it's not subject to political whims or financial forces like regular currency is. These two factors, security and decentralization, or autonomy from the traditional bastions of currency and finance, make Bitcoin ideal as a form of cryptocurrency. However, does it mean that Bitcoin is a good traditional currency? Well, maybe. We're going to have to evaluate it in terms of its functionality as 1, a medium of exchange, 2, a store of value, and 3, as a unit of account to truly determine its value as a currency. So let's dive in. At the core of Bitcoin is the blockchain, which serves as a public ledger for all transactions. The blockchain is a chain of blocks connecting transaction data. It's secured by cryptography, hence the crypto prefix. It's distributed across a network of computers or nodes, so it's not stored in one central computer or system. And it's also immutable, meaning that once data is recorded, it cannot be altered. So each block on the blockchain contains a list of transactions, a reference to previous blocks, or hashes, a timestamp, as well as other metadata. So what this means is that the blockchain is a permanent, meaning it's unable to be changed, database, which is secured by mathematical problems that can solidly store information about transactions, so the who, what, where, and when, without maintaining any connection to a government or centralized financial firm. This makes Bitcoin immensely valuable, especially as the first widely adopted cryptocurrency to anyone who wishes to exchange goods or services without being tied to the centralized financial markets, meaning that it's not subject to fluctuations with other currencies or being tracked/limited by governmental actions. This value, in combination with its scarce nature, as there will only ever be 21 million bitcoins, means it has received a lot of attention from speculative investors looking to profit on the appreciation of the coin as a means of transaction. This is where a lot of the social media attention has gone, as the coin's price has briefly sailed past the 100K mark, up from around $60,000 last year, and just $250 per coin a decade ago. So then where do Bitcoins come from? And how does this relate to Bitcoin's functionality as a medium of exchange, or essentially a tool that allows people to exchange goods and services without needing to barter, which leads to unfair trading due to poor interchangeableness or fungibility, as many in the crypto community would say. So mining is the process by which new Bitcoins are created and transactions involving Bitcoin are verified. Miners use powerful computers to solve complex mathematical problems, invoking the crypto part of the cryptocurrency. The actual math is a bit complex to explain in this video, but essentially it involves solving an algorithmic puzzle to, quote, verify a transaction in a new block, with the first miner to solve the problem broadcasting this new block while also collecting a reward in the form of Bitcoin, about 3.125 coins per block. This process is critical to Bitcoin security. However, it's also very energy and computer intensive, making it rather expensive and difficult to break even on if you're pursuing Bitcoin mining as a venture. Ultimately, the mining process serves two crucial functions. First, it secures the network by making it computationally expensive to alter the blockchain. And second, it introduces new Bitcoins into circulation in a controlled manner, keeping the stability of the network in check. Now, looking at Bitcoin transactions, when you want to send a Bitcoin, the following process occurs. So first there's transaction initiation, where you create a transaction message with details like the recipient address and amount. Then there's broadcasting, where the transaction is broadcast to the Bitcoin network via the blockchain. And then there's validation, where miners verify the transaction's authenticity and your available balance. Next, there's mining, where the miners compete to add your transaction to a new block. And finally, there's confirmation. So once mined, your transaction is confirmed and it becomes part of the blockchain, thus showing Bitcoin's ability to act as a form of currency in the sense that it's serving as a medium of exchange. You can securely transfer it online, just like almost all other forms of traditional currency. However, the lack of liquidity, so just about 21 million coins in total, does put a damper on this functionality since there's an inherent limit to what can be moved at once in the exchanges. Additionally, the high transaction costs involved with forming new blocks mean that it's not likely that Bitcoin will replace the dollar as a means of exchange anytime soon. Now looking at storing Bitcoins, we're going to talk about Bitcoin wallets. So Bitcoin wallets are essential for managing your cryptocurrency, and they can also help us understand Bitcoin's functionality as a store of value, our second qualification for what makes for a good currency. So in short, a Bitcoin wallet is a software program that will generate and store your private and public keys, so not actual Bitcoins themselves. So instead of holding the Bitcoins, it holds the codes needed to access your Bitcoin. There are public keys, which generate Bitcoin addresses for receiving funds, acting like a bank account number that you can use to wire funds to. And then there are private keys, which are used to sign transactions, proving ownership and giving you the ability to send Bitcoin to other addresses or public keys. Naturally, these wallets are encrypted with passwords and other means of protection, and some will offer backups to help further protect your keys. Given the volume of criminals looking to steal Bitcoin, it is recommended to access wallets on proxies like the Tor browser to remove any associations with your IP address. The types of wallets include hardware wallets or cold storage, which are not connected to the internet, so they're more secure but less convenient. Then there are software wallets, which are known as hot storage, and these are connected to the internet and thus more vulnerable. And then finally, there's paper wallets, where you just write down your codes on a piece of paper essentially. It must be noted that there's no forgot my password button here, so if you lose your key, you can say goodbye to your precious digital currency, so write those keys down ASAP. As you can see, storing Bitcoin is not quite as easy as a typical bank account, and as we'll see, the value is certainly much less secure. In terms of its value, Bitcoin is often compared to gold as a store of value because it's durable. As a digital asset, Bitcoin doesn't degrade. It's portable, it can be sent globally with ease. It's scarce, as there is a limited supply of 21 million coins, and it's divisible, as one coin can be divided into 100 million satoshis, which is the smallest unit in terms of Bitcoin measurement, and that's what helps give Bitcoin its value. While this comparison seems great, it's important to remember that gold has been relegated to a speculative asset since the 1970s when the gold standard was abandoned. Bitcoin functions very much the same, except that it was never used to back any currency. So as you can see in the chart, speculators in Bitcoin have been the largest drivers of value, with the price fluctuating significantly based on factors outside of its fundamental value, mostly due to political shifts, cough cough, Mr. Trump's election, regulatory changes, as well as major shocks to the financial ecosystem, and most interestingly, memes. While these events are fun and often very profitable for speculators, they demonstrate why Bitcoin may not be great as a store of value. It's just not stable. And that's due to a variety of factors like Trump tweeting about it or BlackRock releasing ETFs for retail investors to trade it. In this case, Bitcoin actually acts more like a commodity. People can speculate on it and use it for some sort of purpose, transactions in this case, just like corn, oil, or soy. And just like gold, it does have a special status among the commodities, but instead of having a reputation for holding value, like gold, it's that Bitcoin is entirely digital in nature. So as you can see, instead of really being a currency with a strong ability to store value, Bitcoin is more suited to the categorization as a commodity. While we've seen Bitcoin isn't likely to replace the dollar anytime soon, it's worth investigating its promise, or lack thereof, as a unit of account, the third metric for what makes for a good currency. So the property of being a unit of account is that the item is used as a measure of value for other goods and services. The problem here is that no one values anything in Bitcoin. It's always in the dollars underlying the Bitcoin. So while you may pay for something in Bitcoin, it always really reflects the underlying dollar cost. And by the way, how can you decide how many Bitcoins something is worth when the price of Bitcoin is regularly jumping up and down 10% in a day? That's only marginally better than the Argentinian peso. This problem, in concert with the lack of liquidity and high transaction costs from all the computations that need to be done, mean that Bitcoin is rarely ever used in the real world to value products and services. The main application we see is the so-called service of removing ransomwares or smuggling drugs and illegal weapons, which are not necessarily great measures of a currency's unit of account. Hence, Bitcoin doesn't really meet the standards here either. So, as we've seen, Bitcoin falls short on all three of our criteria for a viable currency: medium of exchange, store of value, and unit of account. Thus, it's unlikely to be replacing your dollars or any other global currency for that matter anytime soon. And sorry, El Salvador, it doesn't seem like Bitcoin is the solution to your dependency on USD. However, that doesn't mean it can't have a real and impactful effect on the global economy. So, let's talk about what Bitcoin means for our economy. This is where things may get a little interesting, as if they haven't already. So, one of the first things that Bitcoin brings is financial freedom. It offers a way to send money anywhere in the world, instantly, and with relatively low fees for the users themselves. There's no more waiting days for bank transfers or paying ridiculous fees to Western Union. This is great for digital citizens doing online business all over the world, especially hackers and terrorist groups who don't want to be tracked and traced. So, depending on your worldview, this could be both a positive or a negative. Another touted benefit of Bitcoin is its inflation protection. Remember how I said there would only ever be 21 million Bitcoins? That means it can't be inflated away like traditional currencies. In a world where governments are printing money like it's going out of style, Bitcoin offers a potential safe haven. A lot of tech bros see comfort in the fact that the Fed has struggled to rein in inflation, and Bitcoin could be a means of avoiding that currency devaluation. However, this limited supply doesn't protect the existing pile of Bitcoin from experiencing wild swings in price, so not really helping the currency argument here. You also hear that Bitcoin is disrupting the banks. Do you hate banks? Bitcoin may be part of the solution to your problem. Bitcoin cuts out the middlemen. There's no need for banks to process your transactions or store your money. You become your own bank with a lot of consequential, expensive, and inconvenient caveats. And finally, it's supposed to be the global economic equalizer. For the 1.7 billion people worldwide who don't have access to traditional banking, Bitcoin offers a way to participate in the global economy. All you need is a smartphone and an internet connection. Big asterisk. Hamas, the North Korean government, and other rosy organizations also belong to this 1.7 billion and make ample use of Bitcoin to mitigate the problem, skirting sanctions and international government. We've seen North Korean hackers expressing their love of Bitcoin with the $1.5 billion heist of the cryptocurrency just last week. So, for better or for worse, we know that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are here to stay. They're changing the way we think about money, challenging traditional financial systems, and opening up new possibilities for global commerce of both the legal and illegal varieties. Is Bitcoin the future of money? Probably not. And is it going to replace the US dollar? Most definitely not. As we've seen in just the past few weeks here, Bitcoin's price has been quite volatile, going up tens of thousands of dollars and consequently falling tens of thousands of dollars, with traders showing just why Bitcoin isn't the greatest, especially in terms of a store of value. However, it does still have a place in our modern digitalized society, and it'll be interesting to see where Bitcoin goes from here. So, should you go all in on Bitcoin? Well, only if you're prepared to lose it all. And with that, I'd like to thank you for watching this week's Modern Problems YouTube channel video. If you have any other topics you'd like me to cover, please leave it in the comments below. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.